Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. Yesterday's episode was absolutely manic, wasn't it? I was completely and utterly exhausted. I was watching it back and I had the classic gardener thing of thinking, wow, all that time, nearly 9 hours on the plot, and it doesn't really look like you've done anything. The mowed paths did look quite good, but one thing I didn't say is I did mow this plot and my new plot as well, so that was quite nice. That was a nice little extra. But today we're slowing down a bit. I'm going to be in the greenhouse sowing a few things, and I just thought I'd bring you along. And the first thing that's kind of caught my eye and that I've been thinking about is a bit of a surprising result, really. And that is down here. You can see I've got some leafy greens, and everywhere else I've put the leafy greens on the plot, they've just immediately been eaten by slugs, which is very common for me. That is what I normally kind of expect. It's why I like to sow things as transplants in the greenhouse and then plant them out. But we've got 4 pretty nice looking lettuce. They've got a little bit of damage, and some of the spinach plants haven't transplanted that well, but that's quite common. But the main thing is they're here, they're still here, they're actually surviving, and after their initial kind of transplant shock, I'm expecting these to really get away. And I think really these lettuce have surprised me, but actually the whole bed here has surprised me. The other really remarkable thing is the weed growth, or lack of. You can actually see there's a line of carrots here, and normally my lines of carrots, if they germinate, are pretty much indistinguishable because of all the weeds. But here, you know, there's like one stalk of grass there in the middle of the screen. And I have, you know, don't get me wrong, I have been weeding this a little bit from time to time, but the big thing here is that this isn't a no-dig bed. This has been traditionally cultivated, you know, so 3 years ago, I dug it, and I mean, I really dug it, 2 or 3 forks deep. It was a big operation to get rid of all the bramble roots that were going really deep down. And then since then, you know, I've treated it like a really normal bed. In fact, I've not added enough manure. That's the other thing. If it was, you know, when I say a traditional bed, I should have been adding more manure and nutrients. That's a lesson I've learned over time as the crops have not done too well. But all I've done here is just added a really thick mulch of quite well rotted horse manure. And you can kind of see, there's a good example down here, isn't there? You can see the soil on the right here and the difference with the mulch on the left. And my beetroot, they've survived. Just planted them out yesterday, so that's a good sign. I'm always surprised when something like that doesn't just immediately get eaten by slugs. And really the idea here was that I would just add this mulch, and it was to add nutrition into the bed, and it's provided me all of these extra benefits. As I've been putting things in, I've noticed that the mulch has really helped to retain moisture. And I think the thing that has shocked me the most is just the weeds, the lack of weed growth, or the kind of suppressed weed growth, and the ease with which you can just quickly handpick the seedlings that do come up, and compare it to this other bed where I was a bit more haphazard, and for whatever reason I just didn't, you know, ignore this path, I'll sort that. But you know, for whatever reason this just didn't get the same kind of mulch, and I kind of wish I had done it on there, really, kind of regretting it. But just a really, really nice little success story. And you know, this is basically, I'm kind of converting this to no dig. I think from now on I'm just going to keep adding manure, and I think that's a much better way, you know, of kind of going no dig, is with starting with a bit of kind of severe cultivation and then switching to more of a no dig approach. I said effective then, what I really meant was ease, I suppose. I'm not sure, you know, in terms of the quality of the soil, maybe it would have been better if I went fully no dig properly, the proper way, but you know what I mean. I'm talking about the ease. I've had loads of quite well documented difficulties with going fully no dig on the new plot, and just the sheer amount of weeds that are pushing through the cardboard, and the very thick layer of mulch. You know, I did not skimp on the mulch at all. Just in the greenhouse now, and I wanted to say that I'm feeling so much better than yesterday. Yesterday was an amazingly productive day, but in fact not just yesterday, like all of last week, it was really just like, get on with it, JB, you know, get it done. And I'm really starting to feel a bit more relieved and like I'm on top of stuff. I think the third plot was weighing on me a little bit, you know. I wanted to get everything good and ready, and I wanted to just say a massive thank you for all the comments I had, especially on that video about May being the most important month. So many people were agreeing with me in the comments, and I was really glad that there's so many other people who around this time of year, you just find the workload starts ramping up, and the ones I sympathised with the most were people who were saying, successional sowing? I can barely even keep on top of everything I've got sowing, and transplanting and weeding and the maintenance and that kind of stuff. And I just think that's very relatable, you know. I don't necessarily know if there's a way around that. You know, people have a very limited amount of time. Lots of people who have plots have lots of other commitments and responsibilities, full-time jobs, kids, yada, yada, yada. It would be wonderful if everyone who had an allotment was retired and had all the time in the world, but that's just not the case. And I really was just like, it's not just me. You know, there's so many of us out there who, around this time of year, find it a little bit of a struggle, and when people say that my videos have helped or been inspiring, I'm just like, yes, that is fantastic. So I've got a few more jobs. I think the next thing I want to do is get planting some of these winter brassicas. I was getting a little bit worried for a second there. I just had the seed pack out. And this apparently is my only winter cabbage now, the Savoy. I thought I had a few, but it would appear I've just got the one. So hopefully this will do. And what I'm going to do with these is, because I've got a whole tray here, and I'm just going to do 1 or 2 seeds in each. And instead of kind of, you know, really filling them up and going a little bit mad with it, I don't want too many of these. I've never really successfully done a winter cabbage, so I'm going to probably have these in here for a little while, and we're just going to go a little lighter on the sowing. It's much easier said than done. Probably shouldn't leave my glove on. But yes, while I'm doing this, I just thought I'd say again a massive thank you to everyone, you know, who watches the videos, who shares the videos with gardening friends, and to everyone who comments. Especially recently, you know, I've been putting out so many more videos than I ever used to, and unfortunately it's just not possible to keep up with the comments. I do read them all, I read every comment, but actually replying, you know, something proper, actually replying something considered other than just saying thanks, or, you know, something that doesn't actually address your comment, which I just find a bit impersonal. It takes an awful lot of time, and unfortunately it's time I don't have. So these days, where have I just put my seed packet? There it is. Unfortunately, I really can't respond to every comment, just because, like I say, there's so many more videos now. And one other thing, sometimes you might notice I don't respond to your comments for like 2 weeks, and it's because sometimes YouTube thinks you've said something naughty, normally by accident. It's very rare I get mean comments, and so you go in a little folder called like hidden, and it's really easy to forget to check it. And I checked it earlier today. Like 40 comments in there from the past 2 weeks. So I'm sorry if I miss you. There's actually a couple of you who just always go in there, so my apologies for that. But just honestly, just a massive sincere thank you. Sorry to go on a little bit, but you know, especially as I've been doing more and more videos and people are still watching them, it amazes me. So just a genuine thank you. I always say thank you to my patrons, but you know, you regular viewers deserve a bit of thanks as well. There we go. Savoy cabbage done. And I don't know if I'm going to be doing successions of these, I think, with the winter cabbage. Well, let me know. Let me know in the comments if you should do succession sowing with winter cabbage, or if you just all if it all goes out in one go. I just dropped a load of beans everywhere. I can't pick them up with these gloves. These are so cool as well. There's a little story here about these borlotti beans. You guys might know that beans and peas and legumes, really something I've kind of slept on, not something I've grown very much. And I was recording a bit a while back, maybe a few weeks ago, and it was talking about the benefit of kind of, you know, just allotment community and sharing and that kind of thing. And literally just after I stopped recording it, one of my allotment neighbours came over and offered me these borlotti beans. And I just think they're so cool. There's something about beans that are really kind of fascinating to me, that I still haven't properly grown them, but I just love all the different colours that you get, and there's something about them that I do really enjoy just kind of handling, and I'm really looking forward to my first harvests. Fingers crossed I get some anyway. There's another thing to show you. Look at this, the first chilies have finally been upgraded into 2.5 litre pots, and this year I'm doing the chilies a little bit different. You know, I'm just potting them on bit by bit, when the plants themselves look ready, when they look ready to go, and all of these ones that have been potted on, you know, they were crying out for it. You can't necessarily always tell by looking at the growth above ground. Sometimes you've got to pick the pots up and have a look at what's going on underneath, and you'll see, you know, you'll see if they're really root bound, and these guys were just getting that way. So they've been potted on, and there's just kind of different stages everywhere. I tell you one thing that is quite interesting, you know, we're doing a bit of an experiment with the plants that were brought out early into the greenhouse, and this Buena Malata still not recovered from being brought out and facing those kind of cold nighttime temperatures, really not doing much growth at all compared to its counterparts. Both of those ones, they're the slow ones, and this one I was just showing you is the counterpart. Now, I suppose now it has become a slightly unfair experiment, but I've potted this one on when it needed it, and the other two, they just don't need it yet. So, you know, I think I've demonstrated the point there about bringing them out at the right time, and all the ones that have been brought out are doing very well. Anyway, next job, back out here. One of the things I didn't get around to yesterday, and there were a few, but I got the main things done, and that is sowing some more carrots. Oh, it's upside down. I had left it here and I thought that was really cool. There it is, carrots. I just want to do another row of these. I've just sowed in here some Nantes 5, and to be honest with you, no particular reason for this variety. I found them by the front door as I was leaving today. I bought them, I think, about a month ago, and thought, you know, because I needed some fresh carrot seed, I was like, right, we're going to do carrots this year. You know, I do not have luck with them. I really only grow them just for the challenge, and because once Tony C. Smith said, look, you've got an allotment, you have to grow carrots, JB. You can't not grow carrots. So even with the best will in the world and using the board method, I very rarely get germination, but this is a miracle, although it does taper out a little bit towards the top here. And I've just forgotten something I meant to say earlier about these lettuce. And how did I forget this? This is like a big part of what I wanted to say. I think the manure has basically acted as a little bit of a kind of slug deterrent, because what I've found with this horse manure is it creates a really dry, kind of horrible, crispy top actually. But underneath, you don't have to go far, and it's really moist. It kind of locks that moisture into the soil underneath as well. But I think because it's all dry on top, the slugs and the snails don't like travelling across it. That's my theory. Anyway, interested to hear from you in the comments as always, but I've got these in, gonna water them, put a board on, and that will be that. There's a few other things to do, but my alarm just went off for the Potty Mouth Garden Club, because that is tonight. So thank you ever so much for watching, and an extra special thank you as always to my Chili Pepper tier patrons, Bill, Tony, Pam, Louise, and Michael. Although apologies, I did forget to mention you in my last episode because I was so completely and utterly exhausted. Hopefully I'll see you again next time. I have 2 kneeling pads, that's good.